Sukuna, I choose you! What? Thank you to our $5 patrons, Red Wolf 4765, Midnight Gem Lord Sean, and Demix LNT. Another thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays and Red Wolf 4765. Another thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha and Idemokami. And another very big thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. Now, we're on this breakdown / review of chapter I was about to say 100. We are way beyond 100. 227 of Jujutsu Kaisen. Please don't forget to leave your own list on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, hit that little notification so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below. You saw for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, let's hop into last chapter's poll. So, last chapter, I ended up keeping it nice and simple for y'all. I ended up asking you, Jujutsu Kaisen fans, let me know, who do you think has the upper hand right now in the battle of the strongest? Pick a choice and let me know why down below. And, obviously, there were two options. The two strongest are fighting. It was the strongest sorcerer or the king of curses. And notably, I feel like this poll would have been much different if I asked you, like, who do you think is stronger? I feel like it would have been a lot closer, but of course, I didn't ask you who was stronger. I asked you who had the upper hand at the end of chapter 226. And with a girthy, juicy 70% of 1,000 votes, the strongest sorcerer, Gojo Satoru, took the lead over the king of curses, who only had 30% of the vote. And here's the thing, like, I'm not even realistically going to argue that. Like, one, because I'm a certified Gojo Glazer, alright? Like, don't worry, I still got my Sukuna Slopper card in the corner, but it's not in use right now. Like, if Sukuna does actually survive this fight, then, you know, unfortunately, I'm going to put that hat back on. I say unfortunately, like, I don't really, like, I don't like Sukuna, but I do like Sukuna. It's just that he's fighting Gojo right now. You know I gotta rep Gojo. But with that being the case, yeah. I mean, it's pretty hard to argue that Sukuna had the upper hand at the end of 226. Gojo had pretty much nigh on fully healed himself, and Sukuna was thrown into his own shrine. Like, like it'd be like that when it'd be like that, especially when it'd be like that. So I can't really even make too complex of a case here, or like argue that Sukuna is out on top. I guess you can now argue retroactively that Sukuna is still on top because he never actually like lost his domain. Like, he was just kind of booted into it, but that doesn't mean he lost it. So, I guess, maybe, but like, if you just had 226, you had to ask who has the upper hand by the final page. Yeah, it's going to be the guy that's standing and not knocked into their own domain. So, thank you so much for participating in that poll. Make sure you get your input in on tomorrow's poll, dropping at 12 p.m. to make sure your input is included for next week's review. Now, let's hop into chapter 227. What's up, guys? I'm Hanzo, and here we are to chapter 227 of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is known as... Where's the chapter title? Am I illiterate? Am I blind? Where is the chapter title? It is on the color. The decisive battle in the uninhabited, demon-infested Shinjuku. Interesting. Someone told me they were fighting in Shibuya. I guess it literally was just in the chapter title. But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. And this is number 5. Speaking of color pages, though, before we hop into the chapter itself, I mean, I do, like, this is weird. Like, I like the Gojo art, and I especially like the Itadori art that's for Shonen Jump, but something about it looks just a little bit off. I'm not sure what it is, but something about Gojo. And maybe it's the smile, maybe it's like the super strong eye contact, maybe it's the fact that his curse technique is responded or like reflected with a gigantic bright light instead of like, I don't know, maybe his actual curse technique. I have no clue. Something about that Gojo image just seems off. Like, maybe it's the eye contact, but like, I make strong eye contact with people, and I wouldn't find that off-putting. But I don't know. Something about that image seems slightly off. But hey, you know, you gotta hype up Gojo versus Sukuna right now. It's probably, I'd say, out of all the battles going on right now in Shonen Jump, at least for the major heavy hitters in terms of like what the magazine is releasing week by week, I'd say Gojo vs. Sukuna is like the biggest one right now. Even with other massive spoilers, heavy hitters going on right now, I still think this is number 1. So it makes sense that Gege is going to get the lead on this one, especially like where the battle is right now. it's getting pretty hectic, so you wanna advertise it. And I've heard multiple people say that the battle's gonna end in like 2 to 3 chapters. So yeah, you advertise like right around the middle of the chapter, you know, or right in the middle of the fight with a couple chapters. You get a chapter cover page. Like I get what you're doing here. I get what you're doing here, Shonen Jump. I like it. And I love how Itadori, just because he's the main character, still gets like focus. But like, bro really hasn't been the main character since Mahito. Let's not kid ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Like, he got a short burst of it in 215, but like Yuji Itadori hasn't been the true proper main character ever since the battle with Mahito and Shibuya. And even then, he's had short bursts, but that was the most main character I feel like Itadori's ever felt. And even then, he didn't actually get that. Well, he got the dub because he beat Mahito. He had him crawling away like a dog. But like, Kenny stole that dub. So still, it's not even. Yuji's just been going through it, but he is on the cover page. And the thing is, he is on both of the color pages too. Like, he's posted up in the corner of the Gojo and Sukuna color page. Like, he's actually gonna do something. But like, once again, I don't know, bro. Like, how is Broski actually expected to do anything right now? I have legit no clue. I hope. I mean, I have faith in Gege. I'm gonna let Gege cook. Especially, there are a certain few characters that a certain few vocal fans have told me to let Gege cook. So I'm gonna throw Itadori on that list. I'm just gonna let him cook. And I really do like this second color page. I think I do. I like it more than the first. And I was kind of critiquing the coloring in the background now, but it's grown on me. Like, the more I look at it, I kind of actually do like the purple and orange. Like, now the orange seems a bit more gold. Maybe it's because it's like, it has more saturation than before. I'm turning up the brightness up on my computer to really get that proper effect to it. But I actually kind of like it now. And I do like the detail of Gojo grinning with the slashes, specifically over all the parts of his body as he heals. And I like how Sukuna, he's still just cheesing. He's cheesing as he has his face torn open, which is pretty funny. I don't know. I like the dynamic of these two a lot. I think... No, I mean, probably not. I was about to say, in another lifetime, these two could have been the best duo ever, but I don't know. I feel like both of them would not like to coexist together. Like, say Gojo and Sukuna were born in the same time period, I feel like the two would just be fighting all the time. I don't genuinely see a dynamic between these two, unlike other major decisive rival battles and other series where I'm like, oh yeah, if circumstances were slightly different, just a little bit different, you two would probably be homies instead of enemies. But nah, I think Gojo and Sukuna would have beef regardless of the timeline or where who was born or whatever. I think these two just would not coexist well with each other. Like, I don't even if Sukuna like didn't steal Gojo's son's body, like I still think these two would just naturally be in opposition with each other. However, 2 W color pages by Gege, especially now that I know that Gege's colorblind. I didn't know that before. Fantastic work. Like, I don't know, as a person who sucks at coloring in general, being colorblind and being able to do this, that's fantastic. But enough of that, let's hop right into the chapter itself. So we open up and we do get to see that Gojo Satoru takes the offensive with an inexplicable trick, using reverse curse technique to heal his exhausted curse technique. So there are a couple things here. Number one, I was indubitably wrong. Malevolent Shrine is in fact still up, but it just looks like Sukuna did it like really, really small. Like, super duper, like, I don't know. I think this is the smallest Malevolent Shrine we've ever seen. Bro literally said, I'm gonna do the bare minimum. And, I mean, it worked, don't get me wrong. It did crush Infinite Void. I keep saying Infinite Void. It is Unlimited Void, I'm pretty sure. But for some reason, I heard Infinite Void one time, and I think that's where my brain went, alright, we're just gonna lock it in as this. And it's never changed since. But, yeah, this Malevolent Shrine is so baby. Like, okay, I know Gojo's a big dude, so it's probably still, like, 30 meters wide or something like that. I'm not sure the schematics, the mathematics on this one, but even still, like, in comparison to how big the thing can be, Sukuna really said, I'm gonna do, you did how many meters? I'm gonna do that plus 1. Like, bro really did not go that far. But I think we do kind of get it. Let me see, let me look at the end of chapter 226 again. It's hard to tell because this chapter does not give an explanation for how Gojo was able to use his curse technique within a domain. Now, here's the thing. I still can't exactly find word for word verbatim where it said you can't use curse techniques inside a domain. And to be fair, I did argue you could always use Jujutsu to fight back against a curse domain, or domain expansion anyway. That's why I would always say, like, if I'm Gojo in the scenario, I'm just gonna stall Sukuna out by teleporting out of his range. So I guess you can just do it. Like, maybe that's why. I guess when it's said that domains neutralize techniques, it's just passives. Like, any passive technique you have up that's just a passive technique, like Infinity, will get shut down. Which, once again, kind of just makes domains feel like they're specifically just a Gojo counter. Like, like, certain things in the series seem specifically made to fight Gojo. Like, you know what, or at least Limitless users. Like, domain amplification and, realistically, domain neutralization both. If you can just use your technique anyway inside a domain, like, I get you get the stat buff and you get the sure hit or the special conditions of some domains, but, like, still, I don't know. Like, why is there, like, how many passive curse techniques are, I mean, I guess there's inverse. I guess inverse is also a passive, but, like, you can actively manipulate that too, right? Or at least you can turn it on and off. So, like, interesting. I wonder how many techniques truly get affected by the neutralization of curse techniques in domains. I don't know. But with that being the case, the main point of interest for everybody here is that Gojo used reverse curse technique to heal his exhausted curse technique. And naturally, the main person that they asked for this is, like, it's Yuta. I love how Kusakabe just yells, Okusu! Like, he immediately requires an explanation for this. And, like, to be fair, I do kind of understand why that's so off-putting, and why they immediately go to the one other guy who they think can do that. Because realize, I mean, Hikari can't use RCT. It's just that when he's in Jackpot, he has so much of it, his body naturally does it. He's an accidental immortal. The only individual out of their entire crew that could actually do something like Gojo just did is the only other registered special grade amongst them. So of course you're naturally going to leap to Akotsu to explain an unexplainable phenomena, right? Because he's the only one there. And considering when you really think about it, he's the only one with, like, a technique that could actively be refreshed in this way that could be, like, consistently useful. Like, hypothetically, depending on how this works, you could argue Yuta could erase his 5-minute time limit if you argue that by using Rika for the 5 minutes, he's burning out their connection. If he can figure out a way to restore his connection with RCT like Gojo did here, then maybe this could lead to something interesting. Maybe Yuta could just get active. However, I don't know. I've been seeing so many jokes on Yuta about how he's so stressed, how he's gonna have gray hair before the battle's done. And, like, now that people have pointed it out to me, I can't unsee it. Bro has had a sweat mark for, like, 5 chapters straight now. Bro is literally like, I like to say it's impossible, but the fact is, Gojo Sensei's just doing that. Like, I don't know. I've always had this moment before where, like, I feel like everyone's had it. Whenever it's like you're playing a sport or you're playing a video game or you're doing something, and then, like, someone does something and you have to go, like, they can do that, but then you're like, well, yeah, they just did it, so I guess they can, but still, they can do that. Like, it just catches you off guard. Like, I remember the first time, like, someone pulled off a real, like, actual genuine combo on me in Fighter. It was, like, back when the game first came out. Like, they darn near TOD'd me, and I was like, you can do that? I didn't know that was part of the tech. Did not know that was in the game like that. Like, Fighters was my first real fighting game. Don't get mad at me. But with that being the case, we see that Yuta explains that, well, a curse technique that's been burnt out by using domain expansion is an entirely different thing than physical damage. Just like when a machine overheats, even if it isn't broken, you have to cool it down or it won't work. So we see that there doesn't really seem to be any logical explanation behind this, or at least not according to Yuta, because Maki continues to ask, like, so you're saying that reverse curse technique can repair damage but can't cool an overheated technique? And Yuta's like, that's what I always thought, but it looks like my understanding was incomplete. Wait, is that true? Gojo Sensei may just be doing something unbelievable right now. So Yuta just has no I can't unsee the sweat mark. It's literally on 3 panels back to back. I hate Panda, bro. Why is he just posted? I'm sorry. Panda fan, I'm sorry. I don't know. Bro just provokes me by existing. I have no idea why. I have such, like, vibrant, pulsing, Just want to, but regardless, I just can't unsee the sweat mark on Yuta. It's literally everywhere now. But he's literally getting bags back. Bro hasn't looked this tired and stressed since JJK0. But now he's starting to look like that again. But with that being the case, I'm once again kind of just going to headcanon it. If RCT is like magic juice that you can pour over your physical wounds to restore your physical body, then you're just pouring that magic healing juice over your curse technique. Like an engine or like a machine that's overheated, if you put that machine in a cold area, it'll probably cool down quicker. Versus if you just kept it running in a hot area, or even just left it in a hot area. Of course, your overheated machine is going to stay hot and burning if it's in a hot spot. But if you were to hypothetically pour, if it's waterproof, don't do this if it's not waterproof, obviously. Do not take this as a sign to go open your car engine when it's overheating and pour water on it. Don't do this. But if you have a waterproof device and you put it in a cold area, or hypothetically pour cold water on it, that will help cool it down a lot quicker. Like, it's kind of like how whenever you get overheated, you can just pour cold water on yourself and you feel refreshed. Yeah, that's because your body's cooling down. So what I'm assuming is Gojo took that principle, the idea that, oh, okay, I can heal my physical body, and I know my curse technique literally is a part of my physical body. The Six Eyes is a part of Gojo, and thusly he just kind of changed the healing towards that. How he did that, I'm not entirely sure. Like Yuta, I don't fully understand it, but I had to assume, at least with his higher and more advanced understanding, thanks to the Six Eyes and thanks to all his experience, Gojo kind of understands the technique-body connection a lot more than someone like Yuta could. Because once again, we gotta remember, Yuta's been a sorcerer for what? A year? Like, literally just a year? Like, bro really just got started. Maybe like 2, I think. I read somewhere 2 years. Like, bro's really new to the game. Sure, he's a special grade, but he's like the least experienced out of all the special grades. By a pretty wide margin, too. Like, I think there's literally like over a decade's gap of experience between him and the rest of the special grades. Even back when Suguru was a special grade and not... Actually, no. Because Suguru wasn't always a special grade. Actually, no. Even still, like, yeah, it would literally be more than a decade's worth of, like, lacking of experience when it comes to Yuta versus the rest of the special grades. So obviously him not understanding this kind of makes sense, and I do wonder if he's going to be able to incorporate this into his kit, because one of the biggest things, you guys heard it in my Yuta needs a buff video. Yeah, I think Yuta needs a buff because 5 minutes is crazy. So hopefully he can reverse engineer this in order to kind of at least extend the Rika time. Maybe 10, give him 15, 20 minutes, but not 5, bro, not 5 minutes. But as we see, Yuta holds his mouth with concern. He's wondering if Gojo Sensei is doing something unbelievable. And we cut back to the battle, and we see that Gojo has fully healed himself off. And like, I'll admit, I still did want the scars. Like that is one thing I did like. I did like the appearance of Gojo all cut up. I think that was a neat way to take the character. But him healing back to normal, once again, it's kind of just like a emphasis to how powerful he is. Like, oh yeah, despite me literally being cut with countless cleaves, because you got to realize, every single thing within Malevolent Shrine that has cursed energy specifically gets attacked by cleave. And cleave is supposed to auto-adjust to your durability through utilization of curse energy. So Gojo literally did, like, fight off what should be literally impossible to fight off in terms of what he did. Like, he pulled off the impossible for funsies. And with that being the case, he just asked Sukuna, as he's standing on the edge of Sukuna's ring, like, hey, yo, don't play with me, bruh. Don't play with me. You can expand your effective range, can't you? And I assume, like, this is the question, right? Maybe it's supposed to be implied at the end of 226 that Gojo just managed to get out of the range of Malevolent Shrine, and that's how he was able to use Reversal Red, or it's just the techniques don't get shut down. I guess maybe he just hopped out, because he specifically asked Sukuna to extend the range while he's standing on the edge, the edge, the edge. And, I mean, Gojo, smack him in the face with a like, I'm not asking questions. I don't know. Maybe, because, like, here's the thing. Now I kind of see the method. I see the method. Now that the chapter's out in, like, a language I can read, I can kind of see the method of what Gojo is going for here. But still, I don't know, maybe I'm just a coward. I'd probably just play super differently than Gojo. If Gojo's getting super duper active with Sukuna, I'm not getting that active. But with that being the case, we see that Sukuna healed his face off and he cracks his neck and he's like, huh, I bet. And he immediately decides to open the range of Malevolent Shrine to its maximum. And honestly, I can't even blame Sukuna for this play, because, like, why not? Especially even with Gojo having restored his technique. If I'm Sukuna, right? And specifically, I didn't actually lose my domain. Like I thought he lost his domain at the end of 226 because Gojo was able to heal himself to full. But it looks like Gojo just stepped out of the effective range that Sukuna had set up and managed to fully heal himself off. So if I'm Sukuna, yeah, I have nothing to lose from just making it super duper big. And notably, especially if Gojo's not gonna run, because like the main thing I'd be worried about if I'm Sukuna, right, is that Gojo knows how to teleport. I've seen this before. I literally, like, remember when they first fought, Gojo was specifically teleporting, bobbing and weaving everywhere. So if I'm Sukuna, the only issue I have with, like, dropping multiple domains on Gojo's head is that if I go to 200, I burn all that cursed energy, he could just leave. He could literally just go 201 meters away from the shrine, and then suddenly my shrine is literally worthless. Because it's not like I'm putting anyone in danger at that point. It literally is just a waste. So, in this case, if Gojo's not gonna run, because it's Satoru Gojo, then Sukuna has literally nothing to lose from going all out. And with that being the case, we see that Gojo Satoru immediately responds with Infinite Void right back. Now, at least in my opinion, on a first read through, this was not the play. Like, this was just not the play at all. For a couple reasons. Number one, I just lost the domain battle. I just lost the domain battle, so I'm not gonna try it again. Like, at least in my opinion, that's not the first thing that's gonna come to mind. I'm gonna get out of the effective range. I know, it sounds cowardly, and I'm assuming that's why Gojo didn't do it, right? Like, I'm thinking, shove a controller up their butt, use their abilities the most optimal way possible. I'm kind of removing their characters from this. Removing their characters, the best play for Gojo is to literally just get Sukuna to waste all of his cursed energy. By literally just leaving. Just vacate the premises. Make him chase you. Because then, if he has to open Shrine again to try and hit you, then that's another domain wasted. And then you keep doing it till Sukuna's on cursed energy. That's how I beat Sukuna. Like, being completely real, I would just be an annoying staller. Like, I would be literally stalling, spawn camping, hollow purples. Just consistently, just dropping them. I'm just throwing them. Long range. And Gojo, you would just, not Gojo, Sukuna, you just have to deal with that. Like, you may hate me for it, but hey, it's just the rules of the game, bro. But Gojo's clearly not like that. Gojo is different, and he whips out Infinite Void. Is it Infinite Void? I thought it was Unlimited Void. Hold on. I'm going to the Googler real quick. Okay, I'm back from the Googler. It does say Unlimited Void. At least for the wiki. Like, I don't know. I need to go back. I need to go, like, check the anime or something. The anime will know. But with that being the case, he does open Infinite Void once again. He expended his domain once more. And obviously, Ino's just like me, for real. He's like, does he just want to do the same thing all over again? The same song and dance, but this time with 200 meters of it? And we see that Shoko's like, I mean, he's Satoru Gojo, but he's not that stupid. Like, he's not that naive. He wouldn't do that just for the same way. And we see that everyone slowly realizes, okay, I see it. Mei says, I see, even though you literally can't see any of her eyes in this panel, which is hilarious. You literally see, yo, Higuruma is just so fat brain, bro. Like, how does bro, like, legitimately the most baby jujutsu sorcerer here, even more than Yuta, even more than Itadori, he's the most baby sorcerer here, and he's the one that's like, he switched the internal and external conditions of the barrier. Like, bro, like, we need him to be the first year teacher at Jujutsu High. Fire Gojo, get him to teach people, because bro is already super duper knowledgeable. Shouts to my boy. And we see that Momo notices that, oh, it's not breaking this time. And you do see the cleaves, well, at least presumably, because the barrier is made of cursed energy, the cleaves are trying to tear into the Unlimited Void or the Infinite Void, but it's not actually doing anything. Like, the shrine isn't strong enough to tear through the barrier, which once again kind of does fit into Gojo's narrative from last chapter. Notably, I did misread. I'd like to thank all of you guys for correcting me. Last chapter, I thought it was Sukuna that said, I'm glad with regard to curse technique, I'm overwhelmingly stronger. But no, a lot of you guys said that was Gojo speaking. And that does make sense considering you see Sukuna laughing in that. I'm just illiterate sometimes, guys. I hate to say it. I like to come across as a guy who like can critique narratives and talk to you about character stuff and theorize with you. I'm just not the sharpest spoon in the kitchen shed, all right? So I couldn't tell. But with that being the case, this does kind of fit into the narrative that despite Sukuna being the strongest and having, I'll give you all this, 20 fingers worth of cursed energy, maybe not his complete soul or whatever, because he's still missing the final finger, whatever, however that works, Gojo is pretty much his superior in regards to curse technique, because the fact that Cleave, when empowered by Sukuna, in his own domain, his barrierless domain, isn't strong enough to tear through Gojo's domain at face value, that's pretty crazy. Like, the fact that Gojo can do something like this at all is super duper wild. And once again, it's crazy to see that Gojo kind of just did the domain backwards. Like he inverted the steps. Like he said, fine. You want to destroy my domain from the outside? I know we're equal in here, buddy. No. And he just flipped the conditions. Like, I don't know. Once again, I kind of had a theory for how this works. Like, there was a really good idea that someone mentioned. I'm gonna see. No, I can't. I know. I will not have the time to. But I remember someone had mentioned, based off the spoiler discussion, I was like, maybe, you know, like there's an idea that could be used here, which is like reverse curse technique field domains. And someone mentioned that hypothetically, the way that Gojo could have done this was by using reverse cursed energy to fuel his domain, to flip the conditions, like so that the outside is hard while the inside is soft. That's not. Pause all over that. Roll back, delete the tape. We're not deleting the tape. But with that being the case, those conditions are super duper interesting. The fact that Gojo was able to flip it on the fly like that, seemingly with like no prep time too, like bro just got his technique restored, just provoked Sukuna into opening his domain fully, and he still whipped out that on the instant before he could get a single slash on him is super duper impressive for Gojo. Once again, like, I get it. I'm let me put on the Sukuna slop hat real quick. I agree, y'all. He's not using 10 shadows. He hasn't opened a single box yet. But as a wise person put it in the comment section, maybe he just knows those things won't work. At least for the most part. Like, at least the weird thing is he hasn't put on the wheel for Maharaga. I understand not pulling out Nue. What is Nue going to do? It's going to be worthless. The Nue can't use domain amplification. What is the Piercing Bull going to do? Nothing. The Piercing Bull cannot use domain amplification. What are the Divine Dogs going to do? Nothing. They cannot use domain amplification. So I understand why Sukuna isn't pulling out those. Same thing with the fire. Like, what's the fire gonna do? The fire cannot use domain amplification. So I get a lot of that. But at least Maharaga, at least put the wheel on top of your head. This could be a good time for adapting. But then again, I suppose the reason Sukuna's not doing that is because he knows that if he pulls that out, one, Gojo's gonna immediately know what he's doing because of the 6 eyes. And two, maybe it's just not worth the risk. And you see that when we come to a clash in Sukuna and Gojo's domain, round 2. And we see that Gojo, with a grin on his face, says, alright then, let's take this from the top. And he immediately starts to get active with Sukuna. And I really, like, the art in this chapter is something that I've been refraining on commenting on, because there's like some peak, some weak. I do think there's something slightly off about the Unlimited Void panel. I'm not sure what. I think it's because of the perspective. It's very, like, his hand seems too big for the pose he's in, and it feels like you should be able to see his other arm, and also his face. Like, the Infinite Void panel looks a little bit off, but for some reason, Gege is just killing it on the domains. Like, legitimately, I love the way Malevolent Shrine and like all the skeletons sort of get torn into by the Infinite Void, and I love the detail on Malevolent Shrine. Like, this looks really, really good. I love this, and the art looks fantastic from, like, I think literally for the rest of the chapter. The only dud, yeah, literally the only dud, after scrolling through the chapter real quick, literally is right there in that one Unlimited Void panel. Everything else looks absolute heat. So it's just that one thing. So if I keep praising the art for a little bit, don't be shocked. I love Gege's art. But with that being the case, the two immediately get active once again. And I still have to admit, I do want, at least what I was expecting a battle of the strongest, I did want a tiny bit more than just Fisticuffs. Like, considering these two are in their domains right now, these two are stat buffed, I would like to see these guys throw out some techniques, even if just slightly, or to see like Sukuna mix it up a little bit. Sure, he may not be able to use the Shikigami of the 10 shadows because he wants to keep those around in case he needs to fight fodder, but like slip into Gojo's shadow and then pop out of it. Gojo, teleport around a little bit, like at least have a little bit of extra fun. But the fisticuffs are good, don't get me wrong. I love the way you see Gojo swing in, Sukuna elbow block, grab Gojo's leg, Gojo slip the leg block, immediately go into boxing Sukuna real quick, patty cake, baker's man, and then you see that Sukuna actually manages to touch Gojo. Though it's very specifically touch, like, I don't know, this is still so insane to me. Like, the fact that 20 finger, cursed energy, 20 fingers in terms of cursed energy, and 19 fingers in terms of, like, whatever the fingers have, I still not 100% sure on what the fingers do, but regardless, 19 fingers, but 20 fingers worth of cursed energy, Sukuna, I mean, he's hitting Gojo. Like, he is directly coming into physical contact with him, but he's not actually doing much damage. Like, once again, I'm not sure if this is because Sukuna just can't. Like, I'm not sure, is this the former Sukuna slopper in me just being like, no, there's no way Sukuna's this way. This feels wrong to say, but like, there's no way Sukuna is this physically weak, bro. Like I get it. It probably, like, at least in my opinion, right? I know I may be wrong on this. I'm going to make a whole video on it. So if you want to fight with me now until I make the video. It makes sense. But I do believe, at least physically, Itadori is a better vessel than Megumi. Megumi has the better technique overall, but considering Sukuna isn't even using any aspect of the technique at this point, switching to Megumi was basically useless. In fact, it probably just was a straight up downgrade, because we know Yuji is stronger than most because he has a high physical base and a decent amount of cursed energy to reinforce that physical base. And we know Megumi is just physically weaker than Itadori without cursed energy. That's just how it is. So at least at this point, seeing Sukuna land clear, decisive hits, like he lands two, like one specifically on the upper right side of Gojo and one on the upper left, but they do no damage. Like, they bounce off. That just seems so crazy to me. Like, yo, this is for all intents and purposes, 20 finger, or at least what I believe is the closest we're gonna get to 20 finger. Like, I don't think Gojo's gonna, like, reveal that, you see, Sukuna, hold on a second, fighting you right now is too easy, so let me whip out this finger that I've kept in my pocket this entire time, munch this real quick, get to 21 fingers. Like, I don't think we're gonna get that. So this is 20 finger Sukuna, y'all, and he's, like, playing patty cake with Gojo. Which, maybe it's just that, because, I don't know, at least for me, like, back before this fight actually started, I bought into the general thing that everyone was saying, that, 20-finger Sukuna is going to be physically stronger than Gojo. It's just that Gojo's going to be faster, so he's going to be able to keep up. But, like, no! These two are trading even physical blows. And that just feels crazy to me. Like, that's insane. And, like, I know there's no, like, neither, and that's the weird thing, though, and neither of them look stressed, so I'm not sure if either of them are going all out. Like, I don't know, it just feels weird, and, like, Sukuna seems super duper playful, but so does Gojo, so, like, are both of them just, like, literally playing patty cake with each other? I have no idea, though we do get to see that the whole reason this whole question of faith, like, how strong is Sukuna really, comes up is because he's able to touch Gojo in the domain. And that's very specifically because Sukuna's actually using domain expansion and domain amplification at the same time. And we see that Gojo even notices, and he's even caught off guard by the fact that his output is increasing more than before, and it isn't impossible. And it looks like at least my theory was somewhat right. Gojo realizes while using domain amplification, you cannot use the innate technique etched into your body. Once a curse technique is granted to a domain, that's a whole new ballgame. So essentially it is, since that, the shrine is the center of Malevolent Shrine, obviously. And it's the one that's doing all the work in terms of, like, keeping the sure hit effect up. Sukuna is able to use domain amplification because the shrine's auto-maintaining. It's doing it on its own. He's not able to use, well, shrine itself while he's using domain amplification, even while in his own domain, but he's able to use amplification because the domain is self-sustaining. And that's a really cool trick. That's a really cool way to do it. And it's something that I feel like only Gojo well, not Gojo, only Sukuna and Kenjaku could hypothetically do, because their constructs actually manifest in the real world, since they have barrierless domains. So, with that being the case, that's really, really neat. I like that idea. That's a good way to counter Gojo in a domain clash. And with that being the case, we do get to see that now Gojo's a little bit caught off guard. Is Gojo gonna lose? Oh wait, no. It's Satoru Gojo. So he immediately just, like, it seems like Gojo, in response to realizing that Sukuna can actually hit him while in domain, is like, I bet. Let's lock in a little bit. Like, he leans forward in the gaming chair, and you even see Sukuna get slightly caught off guard here. Like, he's like, whoa, wait a second, buddy. He does weave the hit, though. I gotta give Sukuna that. He does weave the punch. And he, like, weaves it pretty cleanly, too. Like, he does a straight, like, whoo, like, he goes 180 and goes parallel to Gojo's punch. But then he swings with the left. Gojo leans down into it. And then, like, yo, this, like, is really true proper boxing technique. Bro leaned down into it, dodged the left. Sukuna swings, whiffs the right. And then Gojo, with a declarative, man, who cares if bro can hit me, slams Sukuna in the ribs. Though, admittedly, once again, the reason I feel like Sukuna is still not pressed, just like Gojo doesn't seem to be pressed yet, is the fact that despite, like, wincing at the damage or wincing at the hit, he just does weave around Gojo and, like, goes back to back with him. And we see that Gojo seemingly gets a update from the Six Eyes. He's like, wait, hold on. This can't be right. Are my eyes deceiving me? And, like, quite literally, it would be his eyes deceiving him if something was wrong, because that's what has everything, as it gives him the full data dump. But, oh, and before I get into this, thank you guys for putting that out to me. I forget which video it was. It was the Yuta domain video. I wondered why, like, why is Gojo's domain infinite void or unlimited void? Why is it like that? It doesn't make sense, because, like, the Limitless doesn't deal with information manipulation, but the Six Eyes does. I didn't think about it that way. So a lot of you guys pointed out that, oh yeah, sure, while the Limitless may not deal with information manipulation, the Six Eyes sure do. So what unlimited void is, it's probably just the Six Eyes without the ability of the Six Eyes. So you just get overloaded with information. So that's actually really, really cool. I like that. That's a cool way. I wonder, because technically the Six Eyes and the Limitless are not codependent. Like, they work the best together, but they don't have to be with each other. So I wonder, like, can a Limitless user, or does a Limitless user and a Six Eyes user technically have two separate domains? Like, does a Limitless user without Six Eyes, can they not open domain? If they do open domain, is their domain just purely based off the Limitless? And does a Six Eyes only user still have access to unlimited void? I don't know. That does seem interesting, though. It would be cool if Gojo could pull out a separate type of domain, like, hypothetically, a Limitless domain, and that's maybe what we see at the end of the chapter. But actually, no, I think we do see, he does say infinite void again at the end of the chapter, I think. Triple check. Yeah, he does say, oh, he says, interesting, though, he says domain expansion, but he does not say infinite void. Okay, sorry, we're gonna cut back to the main point of contention right now. Sukuna slips behind Gojo, and we see that Gojo realizes, once again, like they do to the Six Eyes, that while inside my domain, Sukuna turned off his sure hit effect. What? And we see that these two go back to back, and one of the coldest panels ever. I don't know, something about Sukuna and Gojo being back to back, super duper cool. Like, honestly, even though it would never happen, I'm gonna do some duo battles with these two. Like, seeing Gojo and Sukuna work together would be so fire. But with that being the case, we get a flashback to what something Kenny said. I'm assuming maybe this is Sukuna flashing back to Kenny. Maybe this is an unrelated panel of Kenny, something like that. But we see Kenny explain. The only ones unaffected by infinite void are Gojo Satoru himself and anyone that he directly touches. And we see, I didn't see this in the Raws, but I did mention it in the spoiler discussion. I've already gotten first-hand experience there. The main reason Sukuna knows how to beat Unlimited Void is the fact that he was sitting in Itadori's body for all that time. Because we specifically get the flashback panel to Gojo versus Jogo, where Gojo had used Unlimited Void to protect, to teach and protect Itadori. But due to that, he ended up giving the game up on Gojo. Well, no, Gojo gave the game up on himself, realistically. He told his number one op how to beat his domain. The one thing that could seemingly easily GG Sukuna. Because Sukuna doesn't fight it. Like, notably, Sukuna doesn't use Hollow Wicker Basket. Sukuna doesn't try to Symbol Domain. No. Sukuna realizes that if he were to actually get hit by a Limited Void, he'd lose. At least that's what this is an admission of to me. And don't get me wrong. I know you're going to be like, obviously, Pencil, getting hit by a domain is an instant lose. But we've seen that even barrier-less domains, a divine domain of the highest caliber, isn't exactly unbeatable. Like, Gojo did survive it and find a way to work around it. So it's not impossible, but it seems like Sukuna's wise enough to be like, yeah, no matter how himothy I am, even I can't get by infinite information being shoved into my head without the 6 eyes. So that is very, very neat. I like that. I mean, it's a subtle admittance. It's a subtle admittance of respect that, like, Sukuna just doesn't want to deal with it. Like, he goes through a super roundabout way to do it, like staying back to back with Gojo and then immediately shifting the conditions of his own domain in order to stop Unlimited Void. That's a super duper smart play. It shows that Sukuna is always paying attention even when you think he wouldn't be, and I really, really like that. Bro is the strongest, or was the strongest of the past for a reason. He pays a lot of attention to stuff, and you see this highlighted a lot in the Yorozu fight, where right at the end of the fight, he's like, oh yeah, you do this, you open up with the liquid metal, and then you go into the insect armor. And if that doesn't work, you pop domain. Like, bro pays attention, even if he sees you as nothing more than a fish that's slightly different than all the other fish, and all you need is your scales stripped away. He's still gonna respect you. You still may be a fish of great renown, like a great white shark. So he's gonna watch out for your fangs if he can help it. And I like that a lot. I mean, like, here's the thing, right? One thing I will admit, I haven't made this comment in a video before, so who knows? Y'all Sukuna fans may flame me for this. I say y'all Sukuna fans like I'm not a Sukuna fan. But I do think Kenny is an infinitely more interesting villain than Sukuna. Like, I do think I'm much more excited for the aftermath of this battle than I am for, like, Kenny versus Gojo is something I'm more interested to see. Or Kenny versus, realistically, everyone is something I'm more interested to see than Sukuna, in terms of, like, just, like, character investment, because I think Sukuna is a little bit boring. Like, at least in terms of, like, what his goals and motivations are. Like, Kenny keeps me guessing. He keeps mixing me up. He keeps breaking my ankles. Sukuna, he's pretty simple. But even still, simplicity works. This is not a bad thing. Sukuna's not a bad villain because he's simple and sweet. No, he's, like, just pure distilled evil. And I like that. I like it a lot. But with that being the case, we do get to see that the reason Sukuna did go back to back with Gojo and stayed in contact with him this entire time is so that he could destroy Satoru's domain from the outside. And with that being the case, he apparently, because here's the thing, right? Earlier on in the chapter, it's established that Sukuna, the instant Sukuna expanded the range of Malevolent Shrine to its maximum, Gojo used Infinite Void. So the shrine is at 200 meters. At least that's what the chapter itself says. It says that the shrine was increased to its maximum. But according to what the chapter then goes on to say, in order to destroy Gojo Satoru's domain from the outside, Sukuna expanded the effective range and increased the power of the Binding Vow even further than he did in Shibuya. Using a Binding Vow, Sukuna managed to further increase the power of his domain outside Gojo's domain by removing his sure hit guarantee inside the domain, while simultaneously keeping himself safe from Infinite Void by touching Gatoru Gojo. What the heck? By touching Gojo Satoru directly. So he made it bigger. How much bigger? Like, I mean, it makes sense. Notably, the Binding Vow, the reason that the domain is so big in the first place is because Sukuna leaves that open door. He leaves the fact that you can just leave. You don't have to stay there in order to really get down and dirty with Sukuna. You can just go. So him changing the Binding Vow a bit by removing the sure hit effect, presumably within the range of Gojo's domain, it does make sense that he could make it bigger, but that's crazy. I wonder how much bigger it got. Though adding extra power to the outside of the domain is a smart way to overwhelm the density and durability of Gojo's extra domain. So this does kind of prove that, I mean, what does this mean for their level of cursed energy proficiency, right? Because Sukuna essentially cheated, right? Because, like, he didn't remove the barrier. Well, no, because he has an open barrier. So the shrine itself was still there, because you literally see it. The shrine itself is still there. But removing the sure hit, packing on that extra power. But I guess they are confirmed equals. They are confirmed equals, so that's why the cleaves weren't able to tear through the stronger reinforced outside domain. But once you remove the equality, because there's extra power being funneled onto the outside through binding vow manipulation, I guess it does make sense that Sukuna can just tear straight on through. So I still think they are relative equals, if not Gojo really being superior in terms of technique. It's just that Sukuna is just as good as, if not better than manipulating, not better than, but better with manipulating the properties of his domain. And thusly, he's able to abuse things and loopholes like no one else can. And I do think, I don't know, Gojo, maybe if you had changed that binding, hey, could he set up a binding vow to make it so that even if he's touching people, they still get hit by Limited Void? Could he just alter the domain properties real quick? I have no idea. But with that being the case, he does tear straight through the barrier of Unlimited Void, and Gojo is left exposed once again. And we see I do admit, I do love Sukuna. He's so smug. He's so silly. He's like, take it from the top, huh? And he just holds the pose with the fingers as Gojo immediately gets torn apart. And we see that Itadori is like, huh? He's got to be cheating. He's got to be cheating. What? And Kusakabe is like, oh, well, it looks like Sukuna's already changed the commit. I really can't do this accent, I'm sorry. But it looks like Sukuna's also changed the conditions of his domain somehow. And, bro, Kashimo, yo, hold on. Number one, I wonder what's happening here. Like, is Gojo retreating when he does this? Like, when we see that he and Sukuna are back to back and Sukuna makes that snarky little remark, Gojo does go, like, flying back from the cleaves. I wonder if that's, like, on purpose or if he literally just jumped back. However, we see that once it's established that, Sukuna switched up the conditions of his domain, we get the man, the myth, the legend himself, being like, hey, if he dies, I'm going out there next. Don't try to stop me. Kashimo! No one's trying to stop you, bro! No one's trying to stop you, Kashimo! Go get active! Why wait? Kashimo, Hajime, if you don't go get active right this instant, bro, go get active! Bro's still folding his arms like he's really about to do something. Kashimo, you can't deceive me anymore, bro. You can't deceive me. I don't care, Kashimo. How are you even gonna get there? Where are you? Truly, honestly, tell me, bro. Where are you? Where are you right now? Tell me, bro. Are the people trying to stop you in the room right now? Are they with us, Kashimo? Are they present? Can you point out the people who are holding you back right now? Who's holding you back? The only person holding you, Kashimo, is you! Go get on the battlefield! This is Jujutsu Kaisen for a reason. Go jump them! Clearly you ain't like that. Clearly you ain't want the ones like that. Kashimo, bro, oh my lord. Heavens above, bro. Yo. Once again, I feel like everyone has at least one friend who's done it to them once in their life. Maybe you guys have it. I mean, maybe not. But I know some people can relate to this. Everyone has that one friend who says, hey, hold me back. I'm gonna get active. Hold me back. And then the moment, no. They say, stop holding me back. Let me go. Let me get active. And then the moment you let go, they freeze. Everybody clap your hands. Clap. That's the sound of the cheeks as they run away. Because that's what they're doing. Kashimo, no one's stopping. Like, legitimately, I need to see the convo, bro. And here's the thing, right? Because I know, as of recent, for some reason, despite them being two of my favorite characters, I have accidentally, okay, maybe not accidentally, maybe it was with purpose, but like accidentally somehow come across as like a Kashimo and Yuta hater. I love both of the characters, y'all. I've been anti-glazing them because of their recent, one, because Yuta's been getting glazed too much. The Yuta yuckers, y'all been crazy. So I had to become an opposition. I had to become one of the ops for a little bit. Kashimo, you Kashimo consumers, it's fine. I'm one too. But like this, bro really said, don't hold me back, bro. Don't hold me back. I'm gonna get active. Don't hold me. Like, no, you know how it's bad? You know how bad it is? Hikari doesn't even say anything back. Hikari indirectly says exactly what I'm saying. He's looking at Kashimo like, dude, I not trying to stop you, bro. Go ahead. like, no one's trying to stop Kashimo. No one's trying to stop him if he wants to get active. It's just Kashimo's not getting active. Like, and here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. I get it. Kashimo wants to fight the strongest. And what better way there is to fight the strongest than see who wins the battle of the strongest, right? But, like, I don't know. I still don't like that idea. Specifically because of what he says here. If he dies, I'm going out there next. Meaning that he doesn't actually want to fight the strongest at their strongest. He wants to fight the strongest after they've been worn down. At least that's how I see it. Because he's not trying to fight Sukuna fresh off. He didn't say... Because, like, here's the thing, right? He had a whole month to spar with Gojo. A whole month where he could have figured out where he stood relative to Gojo. Someone else who he was deemed the strongest. He could have thrown fisticuffs with Gojo real quick. And then he has the opportunity. He had the whole month to just go find Sukuna. I highly doubt Sukuna was hiding where he was. Sukuna doesn't seem like that kind of guy. So I feel like Kashimo had the opportunity to test his mettle. But now he just isn't. Now he just isn't, bro. He's just standing on the sidelines, slopping himself off. Like, bro, get your meat out your mouth. It's the kids are here, man. Stop slopping yourself off like you're really like that. And, like, here's the thing. Kashimo is really like... Once again, despite how much I have been clowning on Kashimo recently, calling him a fraud, saying he's going against his character, which I believe he still is, he's still a top 10 character in the verse. And, like, it's not close. Like, notably, there are some characters when I'm arguing them to be top 10, I can be convinced otherwise. Like, my own top 10 list is I know people will not be happy with it, but I'm gonna release it. Give me some time. Once again, the oven's overstuffed right now, so I'm trying to cook a bunch of stuff. But even still, with that top 10 placement, I don't know, bro. Like, and here's the thing, I love the way he looks in this chapter. Like, and like, I do like the idea that he is still posted up next to Hikari. Like, he is still, like, that is his bro now. Like, they're just like actual homies now. But like, the fact that Hikari doesn't even dignify him with a response, like, at least in my opinion, that shows how, like, unseriously he's taken. No one comments on that. Like, this literally feels like for us. It feels like, oh yeah, don't worry, Kashimo's still here. He's gonna get active, I promise. Like, bro, come on now. I don't. Oh, it just hurts. I don't know. It really hurts to see Kashimo reduced to. I mean, like, I guess once again, he's not glazing in this chapter. In fact, he's anti-glazing. He's anti-Gojo right now. He's like, okay, once he dies, I'm going. But then again, he does say if, so he does have faith in Gojo somewhat. He's like, if he goes, I'll go out next. But like, bro, I don't know. It feels so wrong to me that Kashimo wants to fight the strongest after they're fatigued. I feel like Kashimo, at least to me, to a degree, seems like the kind of guy who would get active whenever he could get active. He seems like the kind of guy that if he wants to get the title, if he wants to fight the strongest, he wants to fight the strongest at their strongest. So there wouldn't be any doubts. Like imagine, right? Imagine if you managed to beat, for example, Usain Bolt in a race, right? The fastest man alive. You managed to beat him in a race. But you beat him in a race after he ran like 10 400s. Like, yeah, you beat him. Congratulations. And let's say you beat Usain Bolt in a race after he ran 10 400s against the second fastest man alive. And you beat him in a race after that. Like, sure, you beat the fastest, but did you beat the fastest at their best? Does that suddenly make you the fastest in the world? No. Just like Kashimo, even if, say Kashimo does the impossible, Kashimo really whips out his curse technique, and really, let's say Gojo drops. Just like that, he drops. And then Kashimo goes out there, he whips out his curse technique, and it's the most super duper crazy, most powerful thing ever. And he beats Sukuna. Guess what? At least in my opinion, that still doesn't prove to me that he's stronger than a fresh Sukuna. Because Sukuna's out here burning domain, altering the conditions of his domain, throwing out cleaves, throwing out this mantle. Bro's working right now. And unlike Gojo, he doesn't cheat. Like, notably, if Kashimo were to fight and beat Gojo, that'd be one thing. Because I think Gojo does, I agree with everyone else, Gojo pretty much does have unlimited stamina. His curse energy efficiency plus his RCT usage is so high level at this point that I think bro literally just does have infinite stamina. That's why he's able to drop 3 domains back to back to back with no problem. Yeah, that's just how it works. His curse energy efficiency is just that good, and he does have a lot of curse energy. Even if it's less curse energy than Yuta, and even if Yuta has less than half the curse energy of Sukuna, going with Yuta's ballpark estimate, still, Gojo has more than enough cursed energy with the efficiency from the 6 eyes to just fight at full power, likely forever. Like, I highly doubt you'd have to be a very special individual to win a war of attrition against Gojo Satoru. Like, being completely honest with you, it's just, that's the case. And with that being the case, maybe if Kashimo fights Gojo after this, because he proves himself as the strongest by being Sukuna, and Kashimo wins, then yeah, I could give him that. But specifically, if he's going up against Sukuna after Sukuna's gone out of his way to fight with limited curse energy, and drop domain and all that, while Kashimo came in fresh, I don't know. The win would feel tainted to me. It wouldn't feel right. So I don't know, Kashimo. You still disappoint me a lot, man. But you still look super duper cool. I think Kashimo, like, at least design-wise, I think he's probably, like, a top 3 design for me. It's just, like, if he was blonde, if he was blonde or had, like, silver hair, I think I'd really love his design, but knowing the man has blue hair just feels so wrong to me. I really want to see him talk with Miwa. I know it's literally impossible for them to be related, or maybe not, who knows. But, like, because we know, according to Miwa, she doesn't come from a line of Jujutsu sorcerers, and I feel like Kashimo, if he did have kids, he would know. But I don't know, I really, really like Kashimo's design. I really like Kashimo's character. I really like Kashimo's ability. Like, I like everything about Kashimo. I just don't like what he's doing, standing on the sidelines, gassing himself up. But we do get to see, sorry, I've been anti-glazing Kashimo for a little bit now. We see that Sukuna realizes, oh, wait a second. Huh? The wounds are shallow. And we see Gojo's in a very specific pose. A pose that you may remember from a long time ago. Well, yeah, it is a long time ago. Shibuya's like 3 years old now. But we see that Gojo admits, hey, learned this one when I was a kid. Haven't used it much since I mastered my domain, but not bad, right? So he ended up using Falling Blossom Emotion. And I love how Kusakabe is the only one to actually know what it is. Like, he's the one who yells it out. It's like, Falling Blossom Emotion? Nani desu no? And everyone's like, what is that? No, not sure. No idea. It's weird how in the know you are, Achan. I wonder, who says Achan? Is that Miwa? Or is it Panda? Bro, I'm sorry. Don't. I'm probably just weird. I don't know why Panda stirs up this, like, unholy rage within me every time he speaks, bro. I think just because he looks so smug every single time he speaks when he's literally fodder. Like, he looks more smug in this one panel where he says, not so secretive, you know about it, Kusakabe. He looks so smug in that panel. I literally just want to reach into the manga and grab him by his non-existent neck. But, of course, we see that Kusakabe explains that it's a secret art of the big 3 sorcerer families, an anti-domain technique. It's an application of cursed energy that automatically repels anything you touch. So, essentially, this is a way to get the effects of symbol domain without actually opening symbol domain. It doesn't actually do anything against the effects of a complex domain like Infinite Void, but if you're up against a symbol technique like Sukuna Slashes, it's pretty useful. So that is interesting. Fallen Blossom Emotion is only good against simple and, like, physical domains, which is interesting because, like, thinking of the big 3 sorcerer families, I guess, yeah, Falling Blossom Emotion would be useful, but would it though? Like, Yorozu's domain seems pretty complex, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't ever said that Yorozu was a Zenin, but she has the creation technique, which Mai inherited. So, like, I'm assuming Yorozu was a Zenin. So, I guess, but I feel like her domain's complex enough with the True Spear and all that Falling Blossom Emotion would work against that. Obviously, Falling Blossom Emotion isn't going to work against Unlimited Void, and we don't know what the hypothetical Limitless domain expansion would be, so I don't think it would work against that either. And then, what's the last one? I mean, Blood Manipulation. We don't know what a Blood Manipulation domain expansion would look like, but it's probably more physical. So it feels like only one of the 3, and I feel like even Chimera Shadow Garden is a bit specialized, but who knows? We've never seen the complete variation of it, so we won't know for a while at least. So I don't know. Falling Blossom Motion, despite being an anti-domain technique, it feels like it's not that useful against the other three families. You kind of just want to use it against other people outside the families who have domains. And we see that due to the fact that it's kind of just curse energy circulation in a fancy way, it actually won't get torn apart like a symbol domain. And that's another advantage to it. So that's nice. And we see that Choso's like, okay, that's cool and all, but you're obviously not going to come out unscathed. If it isn't a technique strong enough to rival the output of a domain, it's not going to work against the domain, especially one that's been empowered. And we see that Choco's like, well, it's going to do its job. It's enough. And Gojo can heal the burnt out curse technique with reverse curse technique. At the very least, he'll be able to buy time to heal. I love Yuta, bro. I'm stressed. Like, bro's got his hands folded. He's sweating. Like, I get it, because he literally told Gojo, like, don't worry, I'll sub in next. I'll sub in if you fail, bro. And he's really thinking about the implications of that. He's like, did I really say I was gonna sub in against that demon? He's like, am I really up next? Heavens forbid. Please let Kashimo go out there and get that work. I love it. It's just a really with a question mark. Though we do get to see that Sukuna didn't end up slicing up Gojo quick enough, because Gojo immediately opens domain expansion. And, and I feel like Yuji has the exact same reaction as the entire fandom when we saw this. When he goes, again? He looks like he's so bamboozled by the fact that Gojo said, okay, third time's a charm on this one, and immediately dropped domain again. And we see that Ino's like, whoa, wait a minute, nah, this time he's going crazy. And Kari's like, yo, that thing's massive, that thing's girthy, that thing's gigantic. And we see that Kashimo's like, oh, does he? He's really planning to consume all of Sukuna's domain with his barrier? That's kind of insane. And once again, goes to show you how much Gojo really suppresses himself, because if he could just do this at any time, he really could just solve the... But regardless, we do get to see that Kusakabe's just mad that Gojo can just keep switching up the conditions on the fly like that. But hey, once again, when you're operating with the kind of efficiency that Gojo does, I'm assuming it's kind of just like a number. Like, you know how in certain games you can modify things, like you have sliders, whether it be for background music, effects, stuff like that. I'm assuming that's how Gojo sees his domain. He probably has like options like size, durability. Would you like your conditions to be strong on the outside or the inside? Like, he probably sees it all like that, literally like a video game screen. And thusly, he's able to switch the conditions on the fly because of how skilled he is. So it's nice. I actually do like that Gojo is pulling off these fancy variations with domains instead of just doing the same thing over and over again. And we do get to see that Meimei's like, isn't this like a bad move? By expanding the range of the barrier, the quality of the domain itself will decrease considerably. And we see that, once again, Higuruma, the madman who just knows everything, he's like, even the domain won't be destroyed from the outside anymore. It's meaningless if he loses on the inside. Which is true. That is a trade-off he has to make. But then again, the domain is so big. That's the thing. I was about to say, he could just limit it so that the sure hit of the domain, like the barrier is big enough that it covers all of the domain, but the sure hit itself is only like 20 meters. So he's still safe within that sure hit zone. That's how he could do it in order to compensate for the girth of the domain. If you're worried about the girth overwhelming the potency, then that could be a way he does it. Just like how Sukuna sacrificed the sure hit inside his domain to bulk up the sure hit outside his domain. So I feel like he could do something like that, specifically if he was going for the Giga Domain strat. However, we do get to see that the domain barrier pretty much instantly shatters. And I'm sorry, I can't get over it. You literally see the trio of Yuta, Kashimo, and Hikari, and like Yuta's folded hands, he's all sweating. Hikari's like slamming his hand on the ground, like, no, Gojo, don't mail. You have Kirara up, being like, oh, did it not work? And Kashimo's still just standing up, folding arms, frowning in the background, bro. Like, what is this? Like, three top 10 characters in the verse right now: Hikari, Yuta, and Kashimo, and they all just look stressed. Gotta love the battle of the strongest. And we see that Momo, of all characters, is like, wait, the barrier is quickly becoming so tiny. And bada bing, bada boom. The battle between the strongest becomes more dense. And Gojo compressed down his domain so small that you can't even see Malevolent Shrine anymore. So, very, very interesting. And that's the chapter end. We have no break next week. So, this chapter was pretty heat. Like, even with me, like, being like, Gojo, I don't actually agree with that move too much. Sukuna, whatever. Kashimo, you self-glazer, stop it. I still love this chapter. This chapter, it feels like, honestly, the most fun Gege's having with, like, the rules of the domain, and, like, strictly being like, okay, this is a battle of the strongest. I can get a little bit chaotic. Like, showing the different styles of domains, seeing them manipulate their domain functions on the fly, a giga domain into a tiny domain. Like, these rules and these switch-ups are something that you can only get out of a battle with these two. Someone with such high curse energy efficiency and understanding of the world in Gojo, and someone so experienced and powerful and knowledgeable like Sukuna. Like, this really feels like we're taking advantage of the fact that it's Gojo and Sukuna fighting. For the most part, I feel like you could get similar effects to what was happening before, in a very general sense, in the previous chapters. Reversal techniques, domain usage, open domains versus closed domains. You could do stuff like this. But the way that Gege's taking it in chapter 227, I really, really like it. We're really delving into the depths of what the strongest can do. But now the question is, what's the point of doing this? Why compress the domain down so far? And did it stop Malevolent Shrine? That's a good question. And I wonder, once again, very specifically, considering, let me go back to the start of the chapter real quick. Let me take a quick golly-ander. Yeah, so at the beginning of the chapter, Gojo says Infinite Void. He doesn't say domain expansion. He just immediately goes Infinite Void, and then his domain activates. But at the end of the chapter, he doesn't say Infinite Void. He just says domain expansion. We don't get to hear what the second part is. So, going off the fact that the Unlimited Void seems to be a curse technique, or the Unlimited Void seems to be a domain specifically based on the Six Eyes and their information processing ability, I wonder if this seemingly like singularity type domain, which becomes so small, is the domain variation of the Limitless, or the Limitless infused into Unlimited Void. And that's how it's able to do this weird spatial manipulation stuff and compress themselves so small. Because we do know the Limitless manipulates things on the atomic level, so being able to manipulate space and stuff like this is possible with the Limitless. So I'm assuming that's what Gojo's doing here. And I'm excited to see what effects this has. Because presumably the main reason Gojo does this is to somehow bypass the size and manipulation of Malevolent Shrine. If he's able to trap Sukuna in this deep to the point where his connection to the outside world is actually genuinely cut off because this is a true separate space due to the singularity nature of it, that'd be super duper neat and it'd be well played for Gojo. However, that's what I think. I think this is a very W chapter. Probably like a solid 10 out of 10 chapter. No matter what little critiques I have with it, like, they're very little and really aren't even that valid. So like, that's what I think. Please let you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. To like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure the notifications so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You can also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dago the Pencil, writing off.